little cold, a little gray, but that will not stop the baseball. Welcome in, everybody. The White Sox host the Minnesota Twins. Warm weather gear, well, you need it today. It's a little chilly out in the yard. See Byron Buxton getting set there. Andrew Vaughn's a tough guy, doesn't need a whole lot. Let's take a look at the starters for today. Martin Perez makes his White Sox debut. More on him in a bit. Chris Paddock will throw baseball, not a football, I promise, although it'll probably be a little easier to hit that football on a day like today. Welcome into the broadcast, everybody. I'm Connor McKnight alongside Brooke Fletcher. Brooke, a 1-2 start for the White Sox, but a lot of things look good, including the pitching.
Yeah, Will Venable was very encouraged. Pitching, defense, they really stepped up. Now, they had good quality at bats. He says now we got to capitalize, build off of that, and hopefully they can get something going here versus the Twins.
Let's get you set for this series, the first divisional matchup for the White Sox this year. You see the pitching probables. The Twins have a good rotation, and if there's a Cy Young contender in there, it's probably Pablo Lopez on day 3.
And all 3 starters have been outstanding for the White Sox. They haven't given up an earned run in 3 starts, 17 total innings, Connor. This is the first time since the 2019 Blue Jays, and 4 straight has only happened 3 times in MLB history.
Not a good start in St. Louis for the Twins. 0-3 to start the year. The Twins and Cardinals did not make many moves this offseason, and Cardinals came out top early.
But listen, the Twins, they have been the White Sox Achilles heel here, winning 19 of the last 21 meetings.
And the man who has split that Achilles heel over and over, Byron Buxton. You see those numbers, they are gaudy, they are insane, and the White Sox would very much like to do anything they can to stop Byron Buxton from continuing to torture them.
Well, let's give some credit to our bats here. Andrew Vaughn and Luis Robert Jr. have been that 1-2 punch in the lineup for this series in particular. Combined 53 RBI versus the Twins since 2020.
The former Twin and now White Sox Martin Perez makes his first start in the 2025 season. We're getting to know all about Martin in just a moment. John and Steve will get you set for the new White Sox starter right here on CHSN, so don't go away.
You're on break.
White Sox Baseball and Chicago Sports Network is brought to you in part by Toyota. Visit your local Chicagoland Toyota dealer or Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. Illinois Lottery. Illinois is full of winners. Play today. And by Wintrust, Chicago's bank. Show your team pride with a White Sox debit card. Get yours at wintrust.com/Sox. Member FDIC, EHL lender.
Today we get our first look at the veteran of the pitching rotation. Martin Perez, one of the newest White Sox, will get the ball to start the series against the Minnesota Twins. What's up, everybody? Welcome inside the booth alongside my guy. He is Steve Stone. I'm John Schriffen. Martin Perez was brought in the offseason, and at one point during the spring, he was considered to potentially be the opening day starter, but this team really feels like he matches up well against this Twins lineup.
Well, hopefully he can get the right-handers out, throwing a lot of inside pitches because you got to keep him off the plate. He's never beaten the Twins. He's 0-4, but he is a veteran. 14th Major League season. This is a guy who knows how to pitch. He's won 90 games. He understands everything about it. When you win a World World Series as he did with the Rangers, you know that you can understand how to play winning baseball. So his 6th Major League team will see him today, and hopefully with the weather conditions the way they are, he'll keep the ball in the ballpark, and these Twins, who have yet to win, will continue that trend.
Bundle up. It is going to be a cold one here on the south side of Chicago as division rivals renew acquaintances. The Twins are in sound for the series. Game 1, first pitch coming up next.
Ace's new Yard RX program.
I got it. Unstoppable. Got it. Unstoppable. I got it. You want it, then come and get it. Get out my way. Hey, get out my way. Hey, I got it. You want it, then come and get it. The way that I do it, you won't stop it. I'm so unstoppable right now. Get out my way. Hey, get out my way. I did it before. I'll do it again. You know I don't lose, I'm in it to win.
The starting pitching has been the story of the season so far for the Chicago White Sox. First 3 starters have not given up an earned run in 17 innings pitched. Let's see if Martin Perez can keep that streak going. Bring them out, bring them out. Your Chicago White Sox take the field.
The interesting part of that streak is that this team is celebrating 125 years in baseball. And in 125 years, they have never started 3 pitchers at the beginning of the year that went at least 5 innings and gave up no earned runs. And that is one of the strengths of this team, the starting rotation, of which Martin Perez was brought in because he is a veteran. 14th professional season, and he's got pretty good stuff. He's won 90 games, and let's hope he can break that jinx he's had against the Twins. One of the ways he can do that is to hold down Carlos Correa, who's hit him very well, including 3 home runs and 7 driven in.
There's the manager of the visiting Minnesota Twins, Rocco Baldelli, in his 7th season. He said the bats have been quiet for the Twins to start this season. They are 0-3, one of 4 teams remaining in Major League Baseball still without a win. And we take a look at the starting lineup for the Twins. Byron Buxton, oh, you hate to see that name in the lineup against the White Sox. You know what he has done. Followed by Correa, Jeffers, Ty France, Miranda, Gasper, not much big league experience. Willie Castro, Bader, and Christian Vasquez. 3 catchers actually in the lineup.
And there's a look at Martin Perez. Last season, 26 starts, ERA of 4.5. As you can see, he still strikes out a lot of guys. Opponent's OPS at 808. He wants to work on that. Hard hit percentage at 41.5. He'd like to work on that. Today, actually, if you can get loose, today's a great day to pitch because the ball is not going to be flying like it did against the Angels at times, and that's what he's going to use. That sinker first, backed up by the changeup and the cutter. That cutter is going to be very important to stay into the right-hand hitters. The curveball, which he uses occasionally. Don't look for too many four-seamers. He's not going to throw many of those. And the key matchups in this one, we told you about one of them, and that was Carlos Correa. As you can see, he's hit him very well. Byron Buxton, who always hits the Sox well, but there's a sleeper in there. Willie Castro, for some reason, he hits okay against most people, usually very good against the Sox. Martinez got to hold him down from the right side today. Home plate umpire James Hoy. As you can see, right down the middle.
Martin Perez's first pitch swung on, grounded to short. And that's how you get it started. One pitch, one out to start this ball game. Perez in the offseason was acquired by the White Sox in a one-year deal, and I loved his mindset coming in and just the passion he showed in his opening press conference. He said, my mindset has changed over the years, and that's what I'm saying about this White Sox team. He said, I know people may be saying that's going to be the same as what happened last year. He said, it's not going to be the same. We've got to change our mind. We've got to be ready to play every day.
It's really important to have a veteran as a starting pitcher with a young staff, and that's exactly what the Sox have. They got a lot of young pitchers, so the presence of Martin Perez is a very good thing.
Here is Carlos Correa batting in the 2-hole, the shortstop for the Minnesota Twins. He has had a slow start to the season, 0 for 11 with a strikeout and a walk in that 3-game series against the Cardinals. And a snag at short by Amaya to keep Correa hitless this season.
That's exactly what's been happening to Correa. He's actually hit the ball very hard, but for him, unfortunately, someone is always there. Nice play by Amaya as he goes to his right, stretches out, and quickly 2 up and 2 down, which is what you're looking for today. The weather, well, it's a little chilly, 40 degrees, but fortunately it feels like 28, and the wind not near as much of a factor today as it was yesterday.
Minnesota had great weather in St. Louis, and you know what kind of weather we had. We had some hail here in Chicago yesterday, but this is officially the coldest game that both teams have played in so far this season.
I talked to Roger Bossard before the game, and he said outside of disco demolition, which was a disaster, as we know, yesterday was the toughest day he's had. He said he thought for a minute he wouldn't be able to get that field playable again, but he was able to do it.
Opening week is brought to you by PNC Bank. Shout out to Roger, man. Everything he had to deal with yesterday, and the speed that weather came through here. The wind, the rain, the hail. Nice job, Roger. 1-2 pitch, just missing inside off the corner to Ryan Jeffers. 2-2 the count.
Jeffers is using one of those torpedo bats. So we'll have to see with the cold conditions if that bat works, if he jams him inside.
That has been the talk of Major League Baseball the last few days after the Yankees belted all those home runs with those torpedo bats.
Well, it also helps that they have just a few home run hitters. I mean, bats are good, but you got to have home run hitters. But, you know, if it does work, John, and if guys like it, this is a copycat league. If it works someplace, everybody's going to try it. And you can see the different shape. Distribution of weight is really the key. And it's always velocity through the strike zone. That will determine how hard you hit the baseball.
And as Connor told us yesterday, everything is legal. Fly ball left field. Taylor drifting back in front of the warning track. And a 1-2-3 inning to start.
Regular bat that goes out of the park.
take a look at the starting lineup for your Chicago White Sox. Miguel Vargas back at the top, leading things off at third base, followed by Luis Robert Jr., Andrew Benintendi. Andrew Vaughn, with his first hit of the season yesterday, smoked a double late in the game. Matt Thaiss again behind the plate. Sosa, Jankowski, Taylor, and Jake Amaya at short.
Chris Paddack, last season 17 starts. Second half of the year had a shoulder strain, missed it. He's added a couple miles an hour to that fastball, but the question will be if the changeup is going to be there, and we'll take a look at what he throws. The four-seamer backed up by the changeup. That's a big pitch for him, followed by the slider, the occasional curveball.
Vargas is in the box. First pitch here from Paddack. And a strike. Looked like it missed, but called strike one. Vargas hitting 182 on this young season. This is his third game leading off for the White Sox as he swings through that fastball 0-2.
I think you can see a little extra life on the fastball for Paddack. He's entirely healthy, looking for a big year this year. Had a breakout year in 19 when that changeup was very good for him.
0-2. Well, he certainly looks the part. They call him the Sheriff. 6'5", 217. But to your point, Steve, has not been able to stay healthy recently, and he wants to have a full season. Lofty goals he's talked about already. He wants to pitch 200 innings and get 36 starts. Both of those would be career highs for this young man.
36 starts is a heavy workload. Usually around 32 is what most guys are looking for.
2-2. Miguel Vargas, we've talked about, put on those 20 extra pounds in the offseason, and one of the biggest reasons why was they didn't feel like he could get to all of the pitches. Fastballs, outside corners. He has better plate coverage now with more strength in his swing. 2-2 again. And again, it's fouled away.
You love to see a lot of pitches for a leadoff hitter, and Vargas is doing just that to Paddack. So he's going to deliver his 7th pitch, which is ideally what you'd like, because you want everybody to see whatever he's got from the bench.
Paddack's living on that outside, and Vargas not giving in. He will see pitch number 8 coming up.
Andrew Benintendi and Matt Thaiss have hit Paddack pretty well. Not many people on this team have done that.
What an at-bat by Miguel Vargas. 8 pitches, eventually lining it into center for a single.
That looks similar to a Ward at bat for the Angels. That's what Ward did leading off. And so it's a four-seam fastball. And Vargas takes it right back up the middle. A great way to start. You force him to use a lot of pitches and ends at a base hit. You can't really ask for too much more than that.
Luis Robert Jr. starts in center field. And one of the big focuses for the organization is getting Luis Robert Jr. through this first month and a half of the season healthy. We know what the weather is going to be like, not just here at home in Chicago, but on the road. And so we could see Taylor play center field and have Robert DH at times just so he stays healthy.
Well, we'll have to see how the rest of this game plays out. But normally, when Luis swings at sliders off the plate early, he kind of carries that over through the majority of the game.
0-2. It's been a steady diet of those low outside sliders.
He did a good job checking it up there, because that was a put-away slider. He didn't want to throw that close to the plate. And Luis was able to check it up and see another pitch.
1 ball, 2 strikes the count. This one bounced and Vargas is off. No throw down to second. Good awareness at first base from Vargas.
Well, you're right about that, John, because he took off as soon as that ball hit the dirt. If Vasquez was able to catch it, Vargas was still going. So he did manage to get the chest protector on it, but the ball dribbles away and no play at second base. Heads up piece of base running. That's something you're going to see a whole lot of from this team this year.
Officially ruled a wild pitch. Here's the 2-2. thought about it, but laid off, and it's now full.
Nice job, and Paddock has used a whole lot of pitches. It's pitch number 14 on the way, which doesn't sound like a lot. However, it's like a boxer. Go to the body early, you'll kill the head later.
Here's the payoff. Outside off the plate. Another great at bat. 2 quality at bats from the Sox to start this game.
Yeah, that one a dandy because Luis fell behind early at 0-2 and then checked it up on a couple of close pitches before inducing the walk.
So Andrew Benintendi a chance to get off his feet today. He'll be the DH. And the first lefty bat in the lineup to face Paddock. Swings at the first one and sends it out of play into the seats.
That was a changeup, and that has to be effective for Paddock to be effective. When he started throwing it in 2019, he had a pretty good year because he was getting that over the plate. You can see the grip. It's not quite a splitter, but acts somewhat similar to that. The difference is this one moves away from left-handers as well as going down.
On the ground. Look at second, but coming to first. The only play for the Twins, and there's the first out for the White Sox. Runners advancing to second and third. Talk about that changeup of Paddock in 2019. It was so effective. Baseball Savant said in terms of run value, it ranked in the 93rd percentile in Major League Baseball. That one pitch for him.
Yeah, and what happens sometimes is you just lose the feel. Nobody knows exactly why. He's hoping to get that feel back, and that was a good change.
Well, certainly good feeling for Vaughn with a double yesterday, his first hit of the season. He had been hitting the ball consistently in the first 3 games.
I mean, that's all you can do, hit the ball hard, and hopefully it doesn't go at somebody. But he wasn't striking out a lot. He just was hitting it at people.
Infield is in here in this first inning for the Twins. What do you think of that? Coming in, first inning already, trying to cut down the run. Twins haven't been scoring.
Yeah, I mean, you have to go with what your team is doing, and they're not putting any runs up.
Sliders in there, strike 1, 2-1 the count to Vaughn. That tells you the story of the hitting so far for the Twins this season when Baldelli brings the infield in the first. Runners on at second and third, 1 down. Out of the zone again, and it's 3-1.
Paddock knows he's got first base open. He also knows with advanced scouting that don't be fooled by the batting average from Andrew Vaughn. He is hitting the ball hard, so he's trying to force him to swing at something off the plate.
Hits this one hard, deep to left field, back at the wall, and it gets out! Andrew Vaughn, a 3-run shot, his first homer of the season. And the White Sox jump out ahead 3-0 in the first inning.
That's a way to hit it out today. A line drive rocket. Castro went back but couldn't get to the fence quickly enough, and that one was gone. An early lead for the Sox. We'll watch it again. This is a cutter that doesn't do much. Stays over the middle of the plate, and Andrew, who has been hitting the ball hard, we told you that, continues to hit the ball hard, and this time there's no defenders in the way of it. It's 3-0 Sox.
The only question, would it clear the fence? And it just got out and left.
Let's see how much it made it by. Not all that much, but just enough.
Matt Thaiss swung through that last one, so it is quickly 0-2 on the catcher. And it's something we've talked to Will Venable like, something he's liked about the team yesterday. Got behind early 2-0, but then bottom half of the first inning, that leadoff home run, and he felt like the energy was just great, and it showed the mentality early on of this White Sox team.
Well, in looking at the 3 games, I asked him about what made him the happiest, and he said that my guys didn't lay down, they came right back.
Thaiss swing and a miss, strike 3, so there's out number 2 in this first inning. And it's early on, still trying to find what identity this new team will have for the White Sox. Just 5 returners from last year's opening day to this year's opening day squad. So with many new faces, it takes time to find that identity.
And for a manager, there's a couple of really important things. But the most important is find out what your players can't do and don't ask them to do it. Most managers know what their players can do. That's obvious to a whole lot of people who have been around this game. But knowing what they can't do and not asking them to do it is the key to being a really good manager.
Noticing James Hoy behind the plate is calling that strike about a ball off the plate. And that breaking ball is not going to be that much more effective for Paddock on the outside. Sosa will foul that one away. 0-2 the count.
Well, knowing and watching, and that's something that there's a lot of people who watch the game. The smarter players, the better players observe the game, and you got to know what the strike zone is going to be for the umpire on that day. And the earlier you know it, the better your at bats.
Well, that picture tells you how cold it is.
It's a little chilly.
1-2 pitch to Sosa.
But the thing is, the temperature is not going to change very much. But with a 3-run lead in the first, it feels very comfortable.
I like that. As long as you come prepared, get the blanket.
That's it. Hats, blankets, and everything else.
Slider off the plate, and it's now full. 31 pitches thrown already by the Twin starter.
At this point, the bullpen pretty much knows that Paddock is not going 6.
Two down here in this first inning. Here's a 3-2. See, that's about a ball and a half off the plate. 3-run home run for Andrew Vaughn. Line drive just clearing the wall and left, and the Sox take a 3-0 lead. Time for our live lines presented by Circa Sportsbook. We check out the odds to win the AL Central this season, and I know what you're thinking. Trust me, I asked. Our producer, Chris Withers, has assured me that is not a typo.
No.
Chicago White Sox at plus 22,000 to win the AL Central. Steve, I know you love value plays.
Yeah, and that's a good one. And this is, of course, before they realize we're trading for Ohtani and Soto. So, you know, if you want to make the bet, not a bad thing. But, yeah, that seems a bit that's a bit much. I mean, when everybody is close to the same amount, except for the Sox.
Well, I will say that James Hoy has been consistent. Both pitchers are getting that outside corner.
Absolutely, and that's, you got to adjust to his strike zone today, and we know what the strike zone is.
Hit hard. And it's scooped up by Vargas. The long throw right on the money for the first out here in the second inning.
Miguel has played a very strong third base. He's made every play. Good strong throws. Smothered it on the short hop, and Sean Barber says nope, didn't catch it. He knew that. Makes a good solid throw, and France, who has been hitting the ball hard, continues to hit it hard to no avail.
This half inning is brought to you by Toyota. Third baseman Jose Miranda takes that first pitch for strike one. Center field fly ball. And Robert Jr. will make the grab. Let's head down to Brooke for a scoop from the clubhouse. What are you hearing from players on how they handle the cold?
Yeah, guys, playing in the cold weather is an adjustment for everyone. And for Andrew Vaughn, he told me it's all about the mindset. You can't think about it. You just have to go out and play your game. He also mentioned how important it is just to make contact at the barrel, because in the cold, wooden bats can have a little less give. But it seems like he found the sweet spot with that homer there. And for Michael Taylor, he said, you have to, the ball typically isn't going to travel in the cold weather. He said that was evident in the first series. Plenty of balls were hit hard. Normally that would have carried, but ended up dying in the cold air. So for him, his approach is he's trying to keep the ball out of the air. Now, as for staying warm, you guys, I asked him any tricks. He said baby oil. Apparently it locks in the heat just enough. He told me Vaseline is a little too aggressive, so baby oil gets the job done. So Steve, I'm curious, when you played, did you have any tricks of playing in the cold?
Well, we would have loved to, but we weren't making much money. We couldn't afford baby oil. So, but in Baltimore, there wasn't all that much cold weather. Whatever you can do to stay warm, but the key is getting loose. I mean, you've got to get loose early. If you do that, usually the cold weather doesn't really affect you. And I love to pitch in cold weather.
No Diddy joke? I thought you were going to have at least one or two Diddy jokes there.
I couldn't do that. Are you kidding?
0-2 pitch. Popped up. And that one will just get out of play.
Gasper can do a lot of things, which is one of the reasons why he's in the major leagues. Coming over from the Red Sox, he can probably play 4 or 5 positions, including catching, which is rare, but he becomes the emergency catcher. You're going to carry 2 normally, but having a third is a luxury.
Very rare will you see 3 catchers in the lineup together. Ryan Jeffers, who's DHing. You've got Gasper, who's the emergency, and Christian Vasquez behind the plate. 0-2. Gasper still with not many big league at bats. He's just 1 for 21 in his entire career. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Beautiful changeup from Martin Perez, and the White Sox with a 3-0 lead. Your Chicago White Sox are presented by Rate, one of the top mortgage lenders in America, proud to celebrate 125 years of baseball. With next-level technology, competitive rates, and a fast process, Rate makes your home buying journey simple and stress-free. Rate, your home team. Get in the game at rate.com. On the ground, and an infield single for Travis Jankowski. He said, I know what I bring to the game. It's my speed, and I got to make it work for me.
That was a terrific bunt, and it was a very good play by Miranda, who last year played first. He's a better third baseman than a first baseman, and this is a fine play. Bare hand, throwing one motion, can't get it there in time, and nice pick on the back end by France. Jankowski just beats it out. The call by DJ Rayburn, and a nice way to start the second inning.
So Jankowski followed up with more speed from Michael Taylor now at the plate. As Miranda now playing on the lip of the grass at third base for the Twins.
Will Venable told us that this team would bunt more. He wants them to be aware of where the third baseman is at all times. We saw Theis try a bunt. Moncada was a terrific third baseman, made the play. Miranda made a good play, but just quite good enough.
Outside off the corner, 1 ball, 1 strike to count to Taylor. Taylor, who turned 34 years old last week, signed in a 1-year deal in the offseason for the White Sox. Hits this one to left field, and a single for Taylor. The first 2 on board here in this second inning. Let's go back down to Brooke.
Yeah, just a little injury update for you. Mike Tauchman, he is going to be heading down to Charlotte as he's recovering from a hamstring injury. With cold weather expected in the month of April, Will Venable wanted to send him down there just to see some live at-bats and make sure he's progressing at the right time. Tyler Gilbert and also Dominic Fletcher, he cleared waivers. They're going to be in Charlotte as well. And for Josh Rojas, he's in Arizona rehabbing for a toe injury. Venable said that they're waiting on that bone to heal properly, but hope to have him back in Chicago soon, guys.
All right, Brooke, appreciate that. Amaya puts down the bunt. First baseman is charging, and they just do get the lead runner Jankowski at third.
Amaya got the bunt down, but you want to go to third base with that. Will is taking a look. They're not going to challenge it. You can see foot on the bag before the slide, and so the bunt, which was put down, France makes a pretty good play on this, and Correa there because Miranda was charging. He couldn't get back in time.
Runners are going, scooped up in the dirt, and a double steal. You can't get him over with the bunt. Get him over on the base path.
You're seeing a very aggressive White Sox team, and this is the kind of baseball to anticipate this year. This is a team, as Will Venable knows, that at times going to have to manufacture some runs. He wants to see them running. He wants to see the occasional bunt and hit and run, and 2 stolen bases.
Infield comes in again for the Twins. At the top of the order, Miguel Vargas. First time up for Vargas, he got a single on the 8th pitch of the at-bat. 1 ball, 1 strike to count. Slider missing outside, ball 2.
Here, if you're Vargas, you're looking for something up. You don't want to hit a ground ball with the infield in. You just as soon hit a fly ball, which pretty much with any depth guarantees you 1 run.
Yes, he did go around, said home plate umpire James Hoy. So it's 2-2 the count on Vargas.
This is a big swing in the at bat, because if he does check it up, and he didn't, it was a good call. But 3-1, 2-2, a world of difference.
1 down here in this bottom of the second. Slider off the plate as Paddock, he's trying to test the limit of that zone on the outside.
Well, Hoy early was giving that pitch, but not quite that far outside.
Can the White Sox score the run at third with just one out here? 3-2. These are going to be the moments that separate this team from last year, being able to score this run if they can make it happen with one out.
Yeah, driving home a run from third base with only one out, the good teams consistently do that.
3-2. Ball 4 as Vargas will now load the bases for the Sox.
Those are two great at-bats by Miguel Vargas. First one turned into a base hit. This turned into a walk. He saw a whole lot of pitches, and that usually will start to wear down a pitcher. Pete Mackey coming out to have a word. His young pitcher is not throwing the way he can, and this is a time where you want to keep the game within reach. So what a pitching coach will usually tell a pitcher in this situation is, you'd like to throw a ground ball here. Try to keep the ball down, get a ground ball, and maybe we can get out of the inning.
With the Twins stumbling out of the gate this season, the White Sox trying to take advantage early on. But the Twins had no mercy on the Sox last season. Minnesota won 12 of 13 meetings against the White Sox.
Yeah, the Twins have been a real trouble spot as far as the Sox are concerned, largely because Buxton hits everything in sight.
Infield stays in. Luis Robert Jr. swings at the first one. High fly ball left field. It'll be Castro underneath, makes the catch. Tagging is Taylor. He will score. And the White Sox take a 4-0 lead in the second inning.
First run batted in this year for Luis. He got a pitch he knew he could hit in the air. Castro, who normally is an infielder but can play the outfield, doesn't have the kind of arm that you would worry about throwing you out at the plate on that play. And so you add to your lead, and it's a 4-run lead.
Vasquez, catcher, calls time to flash some signs to his infielders with Benintendi digging into the box. Benintendi puts a charge into this one. Right field. Bader looking up. Get out! Benintendi, 100th career home run as the White Sox jumping all over Minnesota here in the second inning. It's a 7-0 lead.
Second home run of the year. And for Andrew Benintendi, he's now driven in 6 runs. So the Sox have added to that early 3-run lead. They put another 4 on there, and it's 7-zip early in this one.
Well, we didn't think this lineup was made up of home run hitters and they'd have to start manufacturing some runs, but we've already seen 2 bombs today, and Andrew Vaughn had the first one.
What's been a pleasure to watch today is the aggressiveness of the base runners. Between stolen bases and taking the extra base. We'll take a look at the home run again. This is a change, as you can see, and normally you want that change low and away from a left-hander. He doesn't get it there, and Benintendi crushes it. That sound that you hear, pitcher doesn't even have to turn around, even on a really cold day.
Two here to Vaughn. Everybody I talked to in the clubhouse says the same thing early on about this team. The vibes just feel so good. And it's not guys comparing it to last year. I mean, I talked to a new guy like Travis Jankowski. He said compared to other teams, he said everyone just feels loose this season. Ground out to end this second inning. But another 3-run home run. This time it was Andrew Benintendi taking advantage of that changeup. And it's a 7-0 White Sox lead after 2. Brought to you by Hyundai. White Sox with a 7-0 lead as we start this top of the third inning. And Martin Perez has faced the minimum. He is looking good to start this ball game.
Every one of his pitches is exactly where he wants to throw it. That cutter has been perfect. He's thrown a couple of curveballs for strikes. As long as you can keep that cutter on the inside part of the plate to right-handers, it opens up the outside part of the plate when you throw a changeup or a backdoor cutter. And backdoor cutter is one that a left-hand pitcher will throw to a right-hand hitter over the outside corner instead of coming inside with it.
14th Major League Baseball season for Perez, who will turn 34 years old on Friday. Strike 3 looking. Perez is on point to start this one.
You know, we usually like to see high sinkers, and I don't think Martin wanted to throw it upstairs, but he got it there and it had the whole plate. That is his sinker. You can see the spin. It stays up and he gets the call.
Perez was an all-star back in 2022 with the Texas Rangers. And all spring, the White Sox have been trying to figure out how do we get him back to that version of himself. Popped up infield. Everybody's charging in. Vaughn calls it off. And how about that? Some communication here in 2025.
Well, a whole lot of guys could have caught it. Eventually, Andrew takes over. And with a little assistance, he's able to make the play. It goes straight up, and normally a pitcher is supposed to call this. But Andrew takes over. Jacob wanted it. Figures, well, Andrew might be a little bigger, so I'll let him get it.
We heard it all the way up here. It was clear. Vaughn was taken over in charge on that play.
I think that in spring training, that's one of the things that they said we cannot have the kind of miscommunication that we had last season. Let's work on that, and we want you to yell as loud as you can to make sure that all of the guys around you know exactly who's going to take it.
Bottom of the order for the Twins is Vasquez. High in the air to left field. Taylor underneath. And another 1-2-3 inning for Martin Perez. Just 8 pitches in that third.
Matt Dice looking to get things going here in the bottom of the third. So let's get to know him a little better, shall we, with the Know Your Sox. I asked him if you had to be one age for the rest of your life, what age would you choose? He told me 29. He said, who wants to turn 30? But I must say, your 30s, they're not that bad, okay, Matt? He also said, I asked him, something you've always wanted to try but haven't yet. He said skydiving, but I don't know if I'm ever going to get to it. And I asked him if you could switch lives with anyone for a day, who would it be? He said a starting pitcher in the big leagues, and on this team, he would trade lives with Sean Burke after that opening day start. He said, I've always wanted to know what it's like to be a starter in the bigs, guys.
That is a good guy to change places with, because Sean Burke is going to have a great season for this White Sox team. Steve, what age would you want to be stuck at?
I'd like to be stuck at 102 because at least I will have known that I made it.
You got there.
Now, I might lose a step to either side, but yeah, getting there is half the battle.
102. All right.
I think it's kind of hard to beat anything like in the mid to late 20s. You still have all of your skills and you're just starting to figure it out, especially if you're a major league player. I mean, it takes you a few years to understand what the major leagues are all about and certainly how to play winning baseball.
3-1 the count here to Theis, the catcher. Even having a routine away from the field, for so many guys I talk to, they tell me it takes them time to figure out off season where they're going to live, the travel, the schedule, dealing with their families, and it takes a few years as a big leaguer to get accustomed to all of that and make sure that everything is smooth and routine going forward. 3-2.
There's so many advantages today for these players as far as conditioning is concerned. They know so much more, and every year they improve on that. And players rehab better and avoid injuries better.
Well, think about Minnesota starter Paddock on the mound. He has dealt with injuries his entire career. So he said the first thing he has changed in his offseason was he actually started throwing every single day. Now, it was either with a baseball or a football, but he said in the offseason he only took 1 week off from throwing for the first time. Ball 4 to Theis. Are you ready for your winning moment? Find it at Wing Creek, Chicago Southland, where the action never stops. You can play the hottest table games, enjoy the newest slots, and celebrate big jackpots. At Wing Creek, there's a win waiting for you around every corner.
That's 60 pitches in 2+ innings for Paddock.
On a line to center field. Buxton doesn't have to move much. There's one away in this bottom of the third. White Sox fans, create your perfect season with the 10-ticket all-access pass starting at just $224. You get access to the Crosstown Series against the Cubs and choose your games and seats that work best for you and your schedule. To purchase, visit whitesox.com/flexpack.
A few youngsters at the ballpark today.
I thought that was interesting reading about Paddock, saying that he learned something different this offseason, and actually throwing consistently was something that helped his shoulder and elbow stay loose and healthy heading into spring training.
We haven't seen it today, but he's been upwards of 97, which for him, when he averaged a little under 94, that's a pretty big jump. Now, we've seen 95 today, but it's not ideal for getting real loose. What Paddock would like to do here is get his team a little deeper in the game so they don't use the entire bullpen the first game of a series.
Second at bat for Travis Jankowski. He had that bunt infield single his first time up. He said, I know what I'm known for around these parts. That catch to rob Andrew Vaughn. And he said, my first week here, he said, I think I've had a conversation with just about everybody in the ballpark about that catch.
Well, when you look at that again, and we saw it in the ball game yesterday, you look at it again, you realize just how good the catch was. I mean, you kind of knew it was a really good catch when he made it. Then you slow it down and you look at body angle and you look at how far he went over the wall to bring the ball back. It was a magnificent catch.
2 balls, 2 strikes, the count. Changeup missing down, and it's now full. He said it's actually now gotten to the point where security guards are now asking him about the catch. But he said, you know what, I feel like in another week or two, I'll have gotten through everybody, and it'll be in the rearview mirror. Theis, the catcher, on it first. 1 away, 3-2 the count here on Jankowski. Well, we talked about that catch. If you haven't seen it, let's flash it back one more time to last season.
Andrew Vaughn thinks he won the ball game. Jankowski says, not so fast, Pally. And he pulls it back out of the bullpen to make the catch. Andrew can't believe it. Nobody else could either. What a play that was.
3-2. Blooper to shallow center. And Correa with the grab. There's out number 2. Michael A. Taylor had a single his first time up in the second, stole a base, and then would score on the 3-run home run. I loved all the movement back in that second inning from Will Venable. Not afraid to push some buttons, make some things happen early in the ball game.
I think what he was thinking, you get an early 3-run lead. He wants to add to that lead and kind of, you got a chance to put your foot on the throat of your opponent. You might as well go and do it.
And speaking of Will, he's been very open and honest with us about how he's still feeling his way through things, making decisions, talking through all of his advisors on the bench, and when to push the button or when to let things go.
Your team just looks better when there's movement. When you can see guys hustling, stealing some bases, using the occasional bunt, the hit and run on occasion, the team looks more aggressive. And an aggressive team sometimes, well, might luck into some runs they wouldn't necessarily get.
Taylor smokes this one center field, looking up is Buxton, and it is gone. Michael A. Taylor, his first home run of the season. It's a 2-run shot. 3rd home run of the game for the Sox, and it's a 9-0 lead in the 3rd inning.
Taylor, with his first home run and first runs driven in of the year, gets just enough of it. Buxton goes all the way back to the wall. We've seen him make catches like this before. He leaps up. His timing is great, but it's just over the glove.
We've seen a couple plays already this season that probably would have gone the other way last year.
Well, there's no doubt a lot of things went the wrong way last year. This is a big effort. Buxton into the wall. Again, probably as good a timing as anybody in baseball is Byron Buxton, but that one he couldn't bring back.
Still no activity in the Twins bullpen. This is pitch number 75 from Paddock.
First game of a series. I mean, Rocco just coming out of St. Louis doesn't want to decimate his bullpen this early.
And all the hands popped up behind the plate. And Vasquez will put an end to this 3rd inning, but the Sox tack on 2 more. It's been an offensive explosion. First it was Andrew Vaughn in the 1st inning. Benintendi with a 3-run home run in the 2nd. Michael A. Taylor adds 2. And Martin Perez has been money on the mound. That inning is brought to you by the Illinois Lottery. White Sox with a 9-0 lead. 3 home runs already in the ball game as we start this 4th inning. And the starter Martin Perez has faced the minimum. Steve, he's been really good.
Well, right now, everything he's thrown for strikes. He's hitting the spots and getting some calls from James Hoy, but both pitchers are getting those same calls. So Buxton is out. It's Edward Julian.
Now, the last time we saw Buxton, he was at the wall, leaping up, trying to rob a home run. And Julian will line out to right field for the first out here in this 4th inning. Well, pitching coach Ethan Katz is a wizard. He breaks down video to figure out what gets guys back to their old form. On the right is Perez when he was with the Rangers in 22. You see his hands at his belt. But this is what he got to the last 2 years, his hands creeping up now to his chest. And Steve, they've made the switch as Perez is moving his hands back down to where he was in 22.
It honestly doesn't matter where you come to a set. The thing is, you have to be comfortable. And when he looked back to the success that Martin has had at various times, his hands were in a different spot, right around his belt.
Perez has said when you have your hands up, you're going to feel your upper body sometimes being a little tighter. He said, now that my hands are down when it comes to a set towards the belt, he said, I just feel a little more natural. And it just helps me be a little more fluid when I come to the plate.
Carlos Correa is out. Deshaun Kiersey coming on. Last year in the minor leagues, he hit pretty well. And Rocco, on a cold day, being down 9, deciding to rest some of his vets.
4th game of the season, already pulling guys in the 4th inning.
Sometimes the 9 runs up there will make you do some things you don't normally do.
One thing that has certainly been consistent to start this season for the White Sox, the starting pitching. Burke, Cannon, Davis Martin, and now Martin Perez here, the 4th starter in the rotation.
But we're seeing a little sunshine, which we didn't believe we were going to see today. There was a time when they predicted snow showers, but we're going to be fine. You can see a little blue sky there. We didn't see a lot of that yesterday.
Swing and a miss, strike 3 on that changeup. 3rd strikeout for Perez as we take a look at the starters in the first 3 games of the season, and Sean Burke got it started.
6 innings, 3 hits, 3 strikeouts. Jonathan Cannon struggled early, then came back and threw it real well. No runs again, 5 strikeouts. And then Davis Martin gave up a couple of runs, they were unearned. And then he went 6. Well, the starting pitching, which we felt would be one of the strengths of this team, has certainly started off the season as one of the strengths of this team.
Four straight starts to begin a season without an earned run. The last team to do that, the 2019 Blue Jays. Only 3 teams have done that in Major League history. If Perez can do this here, White Sox would be the 4th.
Well, we've talked about it. It's early in the season, but the challenge for Ethan Katz, Brian Bannister, Will Venable, figure out the back end of the bullpen. They figured the starters would be fairly consistent. They're young, but they're all talented, and they all throw strikes. You figure out the back end of the bullpen, and suddenly you've got yourself something that puts you and keeps you in just about every game.
3-1 pitch. And that cutter misses, ball 4, first base runner of the game for the Twins. It's time now for a message from Powering Chicago.
At Powering Chicago, we build more than electrical infrastructure, we build the future. Our trained, qualified, diverse workforce knows electricity. Partner with Powering Chicago and build better construction, better careers, and better communities for generations to come.
Ty France 0 for 1. And that one hit him.
Fortunately for France, he's wearing that pad, and he's not going to feel that one too much. It's a cutter. Martin tried to get it inside. It was well inside. Now he's got 2 on.
Normally this is a Twins lineup that will stack lefties, but this is actually the first lefty pitcher that Minnesota has faced so far this season as a starter.
Well, Gasper's a switch hitter, so he will certainly hit right-handed, and they acquired France, a quality right-hand hitter.
Good stop behind the plate by Theis with 2 outs, 2 runners on in this 4th inning.
They also acquired Harrison Bader, and he hits right-handed. It's a change. Nice stop by Theis. He squared it up, it hit the chest protector, and bounded to his feet. That's exactly how you want to do it. Good technique.
One ball, 1 strike to count to the third baseman, Jose Miranda. Fly ball shallow right. Vaughn chasing in foul territory and just lands foul.
That's quite possibly 2 runs. So I know it's a big lead. However, you love to see that ball go on the right side of the line.
Well, the White Sox making a roster move. Jake Eder has been traded away to Los Angeles, the Angels, for cash considerations. As the White Sox continue to figure out which is going to be the roster that moves this team forward in the right direction.
And we wish Eder well. I mean, when you're a big left-hander, you're probably going to find, if you're healthy, you're going to find a spot to land, and we wish him well going to the Angels.
One, 2. This will be pitch number 50 here in this ball game for Perez. And another good stop for Theis as the count is full. For Perez, this is his 6th different big league team. Actually spent some time with the Twins. And when he was with the Twins in 2019, that was the team that helped him develop a cutter. Three-two. Yes, sir. 4 strikeouts for Martin Perez.
When you see a hitter take one right down the middle, you ask yourself, what could he have been looking for?
We don't care.
Download the Chicago Sports Network app so you can stream live White Sox games and stay up to date on all your favorite Chicago sports teams. Download the CHSN app and stream today.
All right, some defensive changes for the Twins. Julian goes into second base. Kiersey moves to center. Castro moves in from left to short. And Gasper goes from second to left. Miguel Vargas has been on base twice already today. Single and a walk. Pops this one up. And it will make its way into the seats. If you're just joining us, White Sox using 3 home runs early to get to the starter. But Chris Paddock still in the ball game, up over 80 pitches now.
This is pretty much called taking one for the club, because not wanting to decimate that bullpen early, Paddock is still out there despite having a very rough day.
And this is after the starter yesterday for Minnesota in St. Louis, Bailey Ober. He only went 2 2/3. He was very sick. They weren't even sure he was going to get the start.
And that's one of the big reasons why Paddock is still out there, is the pen is starting to work. And for Vargas, these are 3 really good at bats. He's eaten up a whole lot of pitches from Paddock.
3-2. And there is the second walk for Vargas today. Sox Crawl is back. Join us next Saturday, April 12th, for the Sox Crawl Whiskey Cube presented by Jack Daniels. You can enjoy an exclusive pregame crawl inside the stadium with cocktail and barbecue samplings. You got food and drink specials, entertainment, and more. Plus, receive a 1920 jersey hoodie presented by Rate. To purchase tickets, visit whitesox.com/SoxCrawl. I always love the vibes of the Sox Crawl. You get inside early, you get a look at this beautiful 1920 jersey hoodie presented by Rate. If you get a ticket for the Sox Crawl, you're guaranteed to get one of those.
Those are beautiful. I love those uniforms. I love that logo. I don't think in 1920 they had a hoodie attached to it, but it's always a good thing in 2025.
Social media team does such a great job with all their posts, but it's cool now with the 125 years. They end a lot of the posts with a flash through all the different logos the White Sox have had over the history. And a lot of things you will see throughout the ballpark this year, just a nod to all the cool historical moments, and the giveaways will be a huge part of that.
There it is, 125. That's a lot of history wrapped up into one baseball team.
Luis Robert Jr. sticks out the bat. This is Julian now at second. And there's the first out in this bottom of the 4th inning. Well, it looks like that'll be it for the starter, Mr. Paddock.
A tough day. He went as far as he could go. Rocco Baldelli takes him out of the game, and as he walks off, we're going to step out, and we'll be back with a huge lead of 9-0.
Welcome back. StatCast 3D is powered by Google Cloud. We take a look at the 3 home runs. Vaughn, Benintendi, and Taylor all going deep today.
And no cheapies in the bunch. They were all hit awfully hard because this is not a lively day at the park. A new pitcher in the ball game. And as you can see, it's Darren McCacken. That's how you pronounce it. He was just acquired, 29 years old. Last year, split his year between Columbus and Jacksonville, the Guardians and the Marlins.
Popped up shallow left field. Drifting back Castro, but it's the left fielder Gasper who will make the adventurous catch. Send down to Connor.
All right, guys, let's take a look at the early season for Andrew Vaughn with some numbers. I think this is a cool instance of a more accurate story that we've been telling for a long time here in baseball. It's the hang with him. You see the average exit velocity for Andrew, it's 96.5. And you keep hitting him that way, you're going to get yourself some hits. You're going to get yourself some extra bases. Obviously, the home run today shines brightly, but for Vaughn, you keep it up at about 96, 95 miles an hour, the exit velocity, things should go well for Andrew.
And Connor, we've seen this from Vaughn last year. Even when he was struggling in that first half of the season, he was a guy who always stuck to his process, knowing that he would get out of that slump eventually in the second half of the season.
And talking with Andrew at that point, he said, I'm going to go through the same thing that I always do. And the reason is he's always hit. If you've always hit, you know it works. It's just a question of having a little luck and continuing to hit the ball hard. You do that a lot, and eventually the ball is going to find holes.
You see Major League Baseball average since 2015 with a 95, 96 mile per hour exit velocity. It says you traditionally will hit over 300.
Well, they got a similar situation with Correa, who started at shortstop, but he's gone now. He was also one of those guys hitting the ball very hard, but not finding any holes.
White Sox have scored in every inning so far today. 3 in the first, 4 in the second, 2 in the third.
108.5 exit velocity on that line drive that left the yard.
2-2. Sometimes it only takes one to get going, and it felt like that double yesterday for Vaughn was that hit that he needed to start this season. 3-2. Vargas at first with 2 outs in his fourth. And a swing and a miss on that cutter, strike 3. It's time now for some American Sail fun at home. This half inning is brought to you by St. Xavier University. We start this 5th inning, and the White Sox with a 9-0 lead over the Minnesota Twins. Welcome back inside the booth alongside Steve Stone, John Schriffen. All right, Steve, what are you more excited for today? So far, we've seen the starters for the White Sox not allow an earned run yet this season, or the 9 runs put up by the Sox bats, the most they've scored in a game so far this season.
Neither. The double steal made me very happy because that just shows this is going to be an aggressive team this year. They're going to hit the ball out of the ballpark. This is not going to be a really powerful team, as we know. However, you add a little speed, a little aggressiveness to the occasional long ball, and you find yourself, well, you might find yourself with a 9-0 lead.
I thought for sure you'd go pitching.
Well, the pitching has been magnificent. I mean, we're almost taking it for granted at this point that our starters are going to keep the team in the game, and then we'll see what happened. But last inning, Martin, after he got 2 outs, kind of lost that feel for the strike zone, and he starts off this inning with a walk. So we'll keep a close eye on him. Despite the big lead, you certainly would like to see him go a little bit deeper, because the more outs the starter can get, if he can get 18 outs, then the bullpen doesn't have that much work.
So this is a fascinating look for me. Willie Castro, he's got the face mask on because it's cold, but he's got the shirt wide open, no undershirt on. So is it that cold out?
Apparently just for his chin. Very cold chin. Willie's always had that.
It's always funny when you watch NFL games and you see those big offensive linemen for those freezing games, probably something, you know, and they come out shirtless, nothing on underneath their pads. As this one is driven to left field off the bat of Castro, foul.
Well, those are gigantic men who are fairly nasty. If they're going to play the line, you got to be pretty nasty.
At that point, it's a mental game. I'm just showing you how tough I could be mentally. I don't need a shirt on in the cold. One ball, 2 strikes to count here in this 5th inning. With Martin Perez making his White Sox debut on the mound. With a Twins double and an RBI in each of his first 3 games of the season, Willie Castro became the first Twins to do that in franchise history. One of the lone bright spots so far at the plate for Minnesota. Popped up right side. Sosa drifting over. And there's the first out in the 5th inning.
Follow our Chicago White Sox on the Chicago Sports Network, presented by Nationwide Insurance Agent Jeff Vukovich. Get to enjoy knowing the Vuk as much as you do the jingle at jeffvuk.com, because Nationwide is on your side.
Harrison Bader playing right field, but he is a man who has traditionally played in center over the course of his career. He can play all 3 outfield spots, and he brings versatility to this Minnesota team.
Yeah, he's another one of those guys that, when healthy, he's a pretty good player, but he's had a lot of injury problems during the course of his career.
Bader, originally a 3rd-round pick back in 2015 out of Florida. Started his career with the Cardinals. Last year he was with the Mets and signed in the offseason to a 1-year, $6.25 million deal for the Twins.
Martin tried the backdoor cutter that time, could not shave off the outside corner, and he knows that James Hoy will give him an inch or so off the outside corner. It's a good spot on a backdoor cutter.
1-2. Just missing on the inside. 2-2 the count. 4 strikeouts already for Perez. Two. Perez is a guy who lives on the edges. Highest percentage of pitches on the edges. #1 in Major League Baseball.
With Kyle Hendricks of the Angels second.
There is strikeout number 5 for Martin Perez.
He goes upstairs and he gets him. There's that backdoor cutter that we're talking about. Bader trying to protect. He realized that there's a good chance that one had a piece of the plate. Martin is ecstatic.
When we talk about the edges, it is defined as 1 baseball width of that strike zone border. So for Perez, he knows to be effective, that's where he's got to live.
And the top 2 guys, neither have big fastballs, so they have to use the edges. There's that backdoor cutter. Now, that's also the same pitch James Hoy's been calling for both sides. It's just off the corner, but he's been consistent. He's been calling it out there all afternoon.
Bottom of the order for Minnesota and Christian Vasquez. This will be pitch number 70 for Perez. Changeup nibbled on that outside, did not get the call. It's 3-1.
That one probably just a touch further out than James Hoy would have liked it.
Pulls the string, back-to-back changeups. That one way more effective, and it's full.
Well, Martin's been around long enough in this his 14th year to realize that on a 3-1 count, it is a fastball count and you just air it out if you're a hitter. And that was a really good change.
Two outs here in this 5th inning. 3-2. Vasquez, that cat and mouse game, smiles at Perez after just getting a piece of that big hook. Here's a 3-2 again. Blew it by him with the cutter. 6 strikeouts for Martin Perez. What a performance in his White Sox debut. Join us as we celebrate 125 years of White Sox history through 23 exclusive giveaways honoring iconic moments from the 1900s to the 2005 championship. Don't miss this season-long tribute. For more information and to secure your tickets, visit whitesox.com/125. Julian can't make the play at second. So Matt Theis will reach to start this bottom of the 5th.
Got to believe that's going to be E4. It's in the glove. It drops out. And Julian, who's had problems defensively, that's been the one question mark. Did not make the play.
Officially ruled E4 as that cutter catches the top part of the zone. Strike one to Lenyn Sosa. Sosa getting the start at second base, 0 for 2. Drives this ball to right field. Bader backpedaling. And there's one down. Let's check in on some news and notes from around Major League Baseball. Connor, what do you got?
All right, we got both kinds. We got news and we got notes. A lot going on even here on a Monday. So let's take a look at the headlines. You've heard about the Yankees putting up a bunch of runs. They're off today, but they get the Diamondbacks in the Bronx, and I'm sure Arizona is just thrilled about that. Jacob deGrom, you know, he's only made 36 starts since the beginning of 2021 with a 2.06 ERA in that time. Ryan Nelson, the first full-time pitcher to get a hit since 2021. Makes sense. He was a two-way player at Oregon, and after all, he's named after Ryan Sandberg. So you got to do something there with the bat if you get a chance, right, guys?
Oh, of course. If you get the nickname, live it up.
And also, you better really be able to field. Because
Yes.
Rhino could field.
Travis Jankowski, 1 for 2 today with a bunt. So when I asked him about the catch, he said, that's something I've been loving to do since I was a little kid. He said, you know, T-ball, when people are kind of out there in the field and not really knowing what's going on, picking flowers. He said, I chose to be in the outfield because I was that kid who always wanted to run and make those diving catches and get dirty. He said growing up, he was also a wide receiver playing football. So that has helped him with those skills in the outfield when the ball's in the air, just kind of go get it, make that adjustment.
Well, he learned it well because he's an exceptional defender.
Stuck out the bat there. And coming on to left field is Gasper to make the catch for out number 2 here in the 5th.
So everybody looks at major league players. They say, you know, maybe they're all like Ohtani or some along those lines, but it's not really the case. Randy Dobnak, who picked up 5 1/3 innings in relief yesterday, threw very well, gave up 1 run, tried to restore order in that game, and they rewarded him by designating him for assignment today. So it's not all fun and games for these guys. This is a tough business. It's a cold business, and sometimes you run into things like Dobnak did.
He ate up all those innings, saved the bullpen, and they rewarded him with a lovely DFA.
Thanks, you must be going.
Sox fans, speeding through a work zone is a swing and a miss. When you see orange, slow down and keep your eyes on the road. Mind the signs, avoid the fines. It's not a game. With Brooke Fletcher, Connor McKnight on the field, alongside my partner Steve Stone, I'm John Schriffen. Pleased that you are joining us here on CHSN. Yes, an offensive explosion today. 3 home runs from the White Sox, a 9-0 lead here in the 6th inning.
It was 7-0 after 2, and the Sox have added a couple. Martin Perez has been brilliant through 5. Before the game, Will Venable said he would feel comfortable with Martin going 6. He figures he could use 100 pitches if need be. He's at 75 already and throwing brilliantly.
This half inning is brought to you by Wintrust. Different approach, better results. Well, Perez has had a different approach since that spring, where he decided to move his hands from his chest down to his belt at the set. Got a little more rhythm, got his timing back. And man, this is looking like a big pickup for the White Sox. One-two pitch here to Julian. Swing and a miss on that changeup. It has been a filthy pitch for Perez today.
Well, especially getting cutters over the plate on both sides. That changeup looks a whole lot better, and this is perfect. This looked like a strike for a long time before dropping out of the zone. And that's really the key, disguising your changeup, making the hitter believe it's going to be a strike, only to see it then drop out of the zone, and next thing you know, you're walking back to the dugout.
7 strikeouts now for Perez. Now here is pitch number 80. You know, the other thing he's noticed, that bringing his hands down to a set at the waist loosens him up a little bit. He got a few more ticks on his fastball and sinker because of that. He's noticed the difference in spring training.
Well, there's a real good sinker, because that one started over the inside corner, and by the time Kiersey swung at it, that ball was a good 6 inches inside. Impossible to hit. If you put the bat on it, you're just going to yank it foul anyway.
1-2. Strikeouts for Martin Perez, just dealing in his White Sox debut.
There's another one of those sinkers again. It starts over the inside corner. Watch where it winds up. It's right under the hands of Kiersey, and he's got no chance. So good sink, but in a perfect spot, and he wipes him out.
He'll face the DH Ryan Jeffers here. It was 0 for 1 with a flyout and a walk.
This will be a tough at bat. Jeffers hit the ball very well in the first inning, and on another day it might have been out of the ballpark. It was a long fly to left.
Perez, he is just hitting his spots.
Doing a nice job of staying ahead of hitters and throwing the ball just off the plate, disguising his sinker and fastball.
4 strikeouts in a row for Perez. As Jeffers not offering at that changeup, 3 balls and a strike to count. So he issues the walk, his 3rd of the game. And there'll be 1 on here with 2 down in the 6th inning.
Ethan Katz talking with Will Venable. They're talking about who you want to get up first. How many pitches do they think Martin has in his arm today, and how far do they want him to go?
For Perez, started the season last year with the Pirates. Midway through, he dealt with a groin injury where he missed most of June, but he was then traded away to the Padres. And once he got fully healthy, he put on a show for the Padres. In 10 starts, went 3-1, and that was a team who really turned it on down the stretch to make the playoffs.
They had a pretty solid ball club. They just happened to be in the wrong division.
Correct.
So you're talking about 90 pitches, and I would think if he gets through this, time to go to the pen, and the pen is up and going.
1-1. And Jankowski runs out of room, out of play.
Basso loosening up in the pen. Mike has not been used yet. Today might be the day.
1-2. That has been the out pitch today, that changeup that so many of the Twins have been offering at. 8 strikeouts for Perez.
The key to the change is the same release point as your fastball and the same arm velocity as your fastball, but taking about 8 to 10 miles an hour off.
Got him looking for strikeout number 9. 3 strikeouts for Perez here in the 6th.
He's got a no-hitter through 6. He's been brilliant today. I'm thinking they got a lot out of him. What a job by Martin Perez.
9 strikeouts, ties a career high. Jacob Amaya, bottom of the order, will start things off for the Sox. 9-1-2 due up to the plate. As Darren McCacken, the reliever brought on, will come back out here for the bottom half of the 6th inning. Starter Chris Paddock may not have had his sharpest stuff. The White Sox really put together some quality bats to make him battle through that lineup and make him pay for mistakes.
Once again, just like opening day, just about everything the Sox have done today has been right. They've fielded everything. The pitching has been magnificent. Martin Perez with a no-hitter through 6 with 9 strikeouts. And it's great to see.
I wasn't sure when we're allowed to start talking no. I have never personally called a no-hitter, so I didn't know when we were allowed to start talking about it.
Yeah, you can talk about it because I think that's going to be it for him. So he will throw a no-hitter, but he'll throw it for 6 innings.
With one down, Miguel Vargas, top of the order, will step in, and he has had 3 quality at-bats already as we take a look at Martin Perez making his White Sox debut.
You couldn't make a better debut because he was ahead of just about every hitter. He threw strikes with everything. Just brilliant today, and he had a whole lot of support from his team, and it really helps when your team gets you 3 in the first and 4 in the second. You can really start to relax then.
Look how many pitches Miguel Vargas has already seen this game.
It's been 3 great at bats. Probably one of the reasons why Will decided to put him up at number 1 was having at bats like this.
Two balls and a strike to count here to Vargas. Grounds at 1 foul. Stream every out-of-market game live or on demand. Plus, stream Major League Baseball Network 24/7 for the entire season. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details. Vargas looks at that sinker on the outside corner. A called strike 3 for out number 2. So the day for Luis Robert Jr. is done, with the White Sox having a 9-0 lead as Austin Slater will pinch hit off the bench. Slater already with a home run this season. He was the one who got the scoring started on opening day.
Taking Luis out now serves a dual purpose. Number one, you get him off his feet, and also you give Slater at least 1 at bat. And that's one of the things that Will was talking about before the game. He wanted to get all of his guys who haven't played a chance to play, and some of the guys who have played infrequently a couple more reps.
Corey Lee also will come off the bench. He is on deck for the Sox. Here's the 1-2. Slater hits this one on the line to center, and it will drop in front of Kiersey. So Slater, a promising start to the season.
It was good to get him at a bat against a right-hander because he's not going to see many of those. And this was a fastball moving in on his hands. He was still able to get the hands in, get the head of the bat on the ball, and drive it into center field. So seeing the occasional right-hander will give him a better chance when he is forced to see right-handers probably later in the year.
Corey Lee has not seen many opportunities to pinch hit. 1 for 15 in his career. Lays off that slider low in the zone. Ball 1. Off the end of the bat. And that one's going to drop into right field. So a single for Corey Lee, as Nick Maton will also come off the bench, and he will be the pinch hitter.
We'll watch it again, and Slater doesn't know the outs at this point because there's 2 outs. There's no reason at all to hesitate, and it was a collision, but everybody comes out of it as well as they can be. And what Rocco is talking to with DJ Rayburn is, was there some interference on that play? And again, if Slater does run with 2 outs, you don't see any of that at first base. He's heading back to the bag. Again, losing track of the outs. He comes in as a pinch hitter, and sometimes you don't really know exactly the outs, but they're going to meet now in the infield to see if indeed that was interference.
So DJ Rayburn, the ump at first, wants to have a conversation with everyone to see if the first baseman France was indeed interfered with, trying to make a play on that ball by Slater. We saw this called last season on that epic interference double play to end a ball game.
I don't think France had much of a shot at that anyway, but we'll have to see what the 4 umpires decide.
And they have confirmed that Slater is out. And now Will Venable is going to come out of the dugout. He wants an explanation.
It's off the end of the bat. It's going to be a base hit, but Slater heading back toward the bag with 2 outs, not something you want to do. And he got tangled up with France. They call him out. New pitcher in the ball game, and Martin Perez is done for the day. Mike Vasil comes on. Last year in the minor leagues, the ERA up over 6.
First pitch in the bigs for Vasil, making his major league debut.
Yeah, this is really exciting for any young player getting a chance to do this. He'll always remember this first hitter.
Now, the White Sox were alerted to him because he was available in the Rule 5 draft, the same Rule 5 draft where they picked Shane Smith, #1 overall, who will pitch tomorrow. So they did their homework on him. When Vasil became available, they decided to pick him up late in the spring. And he has been lengthened out. He has thrown up to 3 innings in the spring, so he is considered a long reliever at this point and potentially a starter in the future for the White Sox. Fly ball left field. Taylor says, I got it. Let's go down to Brooke.
2 Rule 5 guys on the same team is rare, but 2 from Massachusetts is pretty special. Shane Smith and Mike Vassell, and actually Sean Burke, they all grew up together in Massachusetts and played ball with each other. But Mike and Shane, they actually work out together in the offseason. And he told me the last time he spoke to Shane, they were leaving the Northeast and actually heading to spring training. And now that they're here together in a major league ballpark, he told me that they can't stop smiling, they can't stop laughing. He said it's pretty special, but he wasn't surprised to see Shane here. He knows his work ethic, and he said to share this opportunity with one of your friends, it's pretty awesome.
It's so cool. I saw Sean Burke in the halls of the facility in spring training when the news was announced, and he was going around everybody. He goes, he's going to meet us in Chicago. We're going to meet us there. And he said it's so rare for anybody, but to have 3 guys from Massachusetts, it's pretty cool for him. Grounder, funky hop played by Amaya.
Yeah, Jacob stayed with that. That was really a nice play. It was a lot more difficult than it looked because the ball actually went the other way. You don't expect a ball going to your left that's coming off the bat of a right-hand hitter. Left-hand hitter in this case. Watch it again. You expect it to slice away, but it didn't do that. It hit and came back the other way. He stayed with it, made the play. Everything's still intact.
Will Venable was telling us things that he's still learning about the field here at Rate Field, and he said it seems like the ground balls are staying closer to the ground. They're not actually coming up for hops, so the infielders have to keep their gloves down longer when playing ground balls here at home.
Well, you want to keep the dirt not really too soft, but not real hard, because it's very hard in Arizona. And here, a good base. The field in perfect shape once again today after yesterday. But the ball isn't quite as bouncy as it is in some other places.
Mike Vassell looking to go a 1-2-3 7th inning in his Major League Baseball debut. Here's 1-2. Willie Castro 0 for 2 today, and just got a piece of that curveball. Starter for the White Sox, Martin Perez went 6. And here is Mike Vassell. White Sox pitchers still have not given up a hit. 3-2. And of course, as soon as I say it, I still don't believe in an announcer jinx. I don't think it's a thing.
No, I don't think anything we can do up here will affect anything that goes on down there. So it's just a horrible coincidence that you mentioned it just before the ball went. No, it's there's nothing to do with Willie Castro, who always hits the Sox very well. Turns around for the first time, hitting from the left side, and dumps it into right field.
I'm not on Twitter anymore, so you can't send the hate mail there. I'm sure on Instagram I might have a few in my inbox.
Matt Thaiss goes out there. He knows the emotions of a young pitcher. This his first major league appearance. Gave up the base hit. Just wants to make sure that he slows everything down, because when you're young and inexperienced in this game, things have a tendency to move much more quickly than for the veteran who's been around a while, where things do slow down for you.
Vassell just 25 years old, 6'5", 225 pounds. Here's his 1-1. Broken bat, and Amaya works his way around the ball and will make the throw across the diamond. Mike Vassell, welcome to the big leagues.
Welcome back. I'm here with Martin Perez after an incredible outing. Martin, a no-hitter, 9 strikeouts, tying a career high. What made you so effective on the mound today?
I was trusting my stuff, you know, and stay on the track. I was using my game plan and just moving the ball, you know, around the zone, and I think that was a, you know, big game for us today. The catcher called me a good game too. We're on the same page, and we got a good hit, we short a couple runs, and I just put zeros in the board.
How about the changeup? How was it able to keep batters off balance?
That's my pitch, you know. That's one of my focus when I'm on the mound. I need to take hit off timing and move the fastball opening and the cutter. And I think when I do that really good, I can have my outside corner open. And today was a great game. I feel great, and I was about, you know, I was allowed to throw a lot of strikes. I mean, especially with this weather, and you know, so a lot of strikeouts. I was not looking for a strikeout, but anytime when I have a chance to strike out somebody, I just make my pitch and it comes.
You mentioned the weather here. As a pitcher, what sort of challenges do you have to overcome cold weather like this?
You have to get hot, you know. You have to move a lot in the mound, in the mound, in the bullpen, in the dugout. I was inside all the time, and but that's nice, you know. It's nice. I know it's cold here in Chicago, and you know, it helped me to throw my scutters opening and my fastball opening. But overall, I think it was a great game with good outing, and we just got to move for the next one.
Martin, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Guys, back to you.
All right, Brooke, good stuff. I love the access we are getting this year here on CHSN. Martin Perez leaves the game. We can immediately hear from him outside the clubhouse.
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, they've been doing a lot of that in hockey for many years, but we're getting a chance to do it now. And hearing from a guy who was one of the stars of this game almost immediately is a great thing. I mean, hearing from Roger Bossard in yesterday's game was great. I mean, you don't get a chance often to hear from the head guy on the ground crew, and he explains to you exactly what happened, why it happened, how it happened, and it's just great. Yeah, the access is wonderful.
And when it's fresh, you just come off the mound, out of the game, you understand what you were trying to accomplish, and just how the changeup was such a big part of his success here today in his debut for the White Sox.
Well, as he mentioned, and this is always the case, throwing the changeup for a strike opens up everything, because then a guy just can't go out, sit on a fastball, and really do you some damage. If he knows that's your big pitch and you're throwing it for strikes, it really sets up different at bats. It sets up defensive at bats, and he had the Twins on their heels all game long.
And then to do that in this kind of weather, how he constantly had to keep moving, stay warm, stay loose on the mound. Once you get through about a month and a half, hopefully the weather will have changed by then.
Well, let's hope.
So the walk to Nick Maton to start this bottom half of the 7th. And 1 ball, 2 strike count here to Theis. Theis 0 for 2 today with a walk scored in that 3rd inning. Tried to hold up, but went around. And his 2nd strikeout today.
What a job by Martin Perez. He was on top of it from the beginning. A 1-2-3 first, a 1-2-3 second with 1 strikeout. And everything was working. 6 innings, no runs, no hits, 9 strikeouts, tying a career high with 3 walks, and unbelievable performance. And it goes with the other 3 starters. Goes at least 5 innings, in this case 6. Doesn't give up any earned runs. And the Sox are one of the few teams to ever do that in the history of our game for the first 4 starts of the year.
How rare is it to do that, to have your first 4 starters not give up an earned run? Well, the White Sox just the 4th team in Major League Baseball history to accomplish that since it became an official stat, the earned run, since 1913.
Yeah, it hasn't happened in 6 years. It's pretty impressive. Each and every one of these starting pitchers have done a great job going out there. The weather hasn't been ideal, but these guys aren't affected at all by it.
1-2 count here to Lenin Sosa. Sosa really established himself in the 2nd half of last season, showing the power, especially power to right field.
He's a strong young man, and he can't put a charge into it the other way.
Kept that momentum going in the offseason as he played winter ball down in Venezuela. So when he came into spring training, he was already ready to go. (3-2).
McCacken did a very nice job in his 2 2/3 innings, giving way to Topa, who walked first man he faced, Fanning the second.
1 down here in this bottom of the 7th. Here's a 3-2 again. And sky high left side of the infield. Let's see what's going on down on the farm with Connor.
All right, guys, it has been good stuff on the farm for the White Sox. Only one affiliate in action, and that's the AAA Charlotte Knights, where the big names have gone yard. Colson Montgomery's hit a homer, Chase Meidroth is homered, Caro Teal, all of them chiming in. Look at Teal's start to the season, 6 for 12, 2 homers, 9 RBI. That's the kind of offense you want down at AAA Charlotte, fellas.
Both catchers, Caro and Teal, have been on fire to start the season in AAA. Jankowski will ground out to end the 7th. It has been all White Sox in the opener of the series versus the Twins. It's time for our PNC Bank slow moments of the game. You can see the fire from Perez. He brings a lot of energy. Talked about how they were going to turn things around this season, and you have to have a different mentality. And he brought it here in his White Sox debut.
And this is his 14th year, so he's pretty much seen everything there is to see. But I don't believe he's probably thrown too many better games than he threw today.
Christian Vasquez, bottom of the lineup, 0 for 2. And Amaya with the backhand. And a nice scoop at first off the hop for Sosa, as he can play all over the infield.
Lenine probably carries a lot of gloves with him, and one of the reasons he's around is his ability to play a lot of places. One hop throw, he gets him, and the splendid defense continues. Jacob can pick it at short. There's no doubt about that.
Another ground ball, this time to the right side. And Maton will retire Julian for 2 down. Now look back at the second inning as one of those innings that I highlight. White Sox got off to the early 3-0 lead, and then Will Venable making things happen, making some moves, double steal, and to your point, making sure that the Twins could not get let off the hook, putting up 4 more runs in that second inning.
Really, that's the job of managers. When they get ahead early, if you're fortunate enough to do that, you can't sit back and just relax. You have to continually add to it. It makes it really difficult for the opposing team to come back, because they're thinking, okay, 3's manageable. I mean, we got some thunder in this lineup. And all of a sudden you see a 4 spot. Now you're down 7. It's a completely different outlook for, in this case, the visiting team.
3 ground balls here, but Maton cannot make the play at second. Join us for $5 Tuesdays. Yes, they are back. What I like to call date night. All fans will enjoy a specially priced $5 concession menu, including draft beers from Miller Lite or Modelo, Garrett Popcorn Stadium Buttery, Vienna Beef Hot Dogs or Polish sausages. You got Beggar's Pizza Slices, nachos, and select Coca-Cola products. To purchase tickets, visit whitesox.com/Tuesdays. Steve, I will treat you whatever you'd like, $5, but make sure it's on that menu.
Garrett Popcorn is pretty good for $5.
Ryan Jeffers is 0 for 1 with 2 walks today. He said if he'd had a regular bat instead of the torpedo bat, maybe that first fly ball would have left the park.
That'd have gone way out. Actually, it was a blast, but at that point, it was real cold, no sun at all, and what wind there was blowing in.
Tapper, let's see if it rolls foul. No, it came back to fair territory. Still moving, but it's going to die in fair territory.
You have to understand this ballpark. And in this ballpark, on the third base side, the ball does not go foul. You see it start to go foul and it comes back the other way. And again, that's knowledge of the ballpark and understanding, which is something that I like to see teams, especially visiting teams, when they come in, they have one of their coaches or one of their players stand at home plate and roll a ball down each foul line to see which way it's going to roll. And here, third base rolls back toward the field of play.
Theis took that one right off the mask. You'll see that also in the outfield. A lot of times outfielders will come to a new ballpark. They'll start throwing balls off the wall, seeing how it bounces the caroms, how they're supposed to play things.
The corners also to see how it comes off a sidewall, because many times a ball is going to go fair right inside the bag and then hit off a sidewall You got to know if it's going to be a lively carom, if it's going to flatten out and go all the way down the line. So that's just understanding and preparing for a series in a ballpark that you're not all that familiar with.
Oh, 1-2 the count here to Ty France, the first baseman. As Vasil back out for his second inning of work in his Major League Baseball debut. Something that Will Venable still trying to determine the back end of the bullpen in terms of who will be an established closer, as right now there is no official closer role, but he does have guys he is going to in high leverage situations.
Well, I think Will wants to see who emerges as that guy.
But you got more games like this, 9-0. You don't have the high leverage situation. You'd like to not have to make decisions.
No, it would be really nice to not need a closer for a while in games like this.
It's the 25-year-old Vasil trying to finish off this 8th inning with 2 outs. 1-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. First big league strikeout for Mike Vasil in 2 innings of work, keeping the Twins off the board. Way to go. Sitting directly behind home plate. The Wintrust Scout seats put you right in the heart of the action. You can enjoy complimentary food and beverages, in-seat service, and VIP parking with a private entrance, because every play is better up close. For more information, visit whitesox.com/premium or call or text 312-674-1000.
And there is a look at yet another position player going to pick up what he hopes is an inning of work.
Willie Castro. I guess they'll call that a curveball. Looks more like an ephus pitch.
It's a little ephusy. Yeah.
This is the second position player we have seen pitch against the White Sox this early in the season. Nicky Lopez was the first in the opening series against the Angels. That is Taylor driving one to right field. And there's one out to start this bottom half of the 8th inning. For a preview of what's coming up on the White Sox postgame live presented by Yingling, let's check in with our boys, Chuck and Ozzy. What do you got?
So much to talk about, but
Should we talk about Willie Castro? We've got another position player on the mound against the White Sox.
I don't remember seeing that before, especially early in the season.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, even 1 week in the season going, there's 2 position players throwing. I thought I see everything in baseball. Now I know I see everything in baseball.
They want to save their bullets. They're like, all right, this game's over. I don't want to use a bullpen guy I could use tomorrow. Willie Castro, see what you got.
At 3-0. I hope somebody with 3 ball nuestro hit a home run to see what they're going to do.
Well, I was talking to Corey Lee when he had to face Nicky Lopez. He says it's one of the worst at-bats he's ever had because he's like, well, I'm in a no-win situation. If I get a hit, great, but it's against Nicky Lopez. And if I don't get a hit, I don't get a hit against Nicky Lopez. So anyway, we'll see you on the postgame show.
All right, guys, appreciate that.
You think Ozzie ever went to the mound and picked up an inning of work?
I don't know.
Could very well be. He did a whole lot of things in this game.
Brooks Baldwin, as the White Sox will empty the bench, will pinch hit here in this bottom of the 8th inning with 2 outs. Waits for it to come down. And Gasper, excuse me, that's Julian making the throw, but Baldwin able to beat it out at first.
I mean, this is something that a manager absolutely loves. It's a 9-0 game. And he beats the play. He's on the bag. The ball's not in the glove. And Julian took a whole lot of time in pirouetting around shortstop. Too much time. As Baldwin comes up with a base hit.
It's almost like slow pitch softball, right? You just got to wait for that thing to come down. Austin Slater trying to tee off on this one and hooks it foul. Who's going to pad their stats against Willie Castro here? I love how it's registering as a curveball.
I don't think they have anything that describes exactly what this pitch is. It's certainly not a curveball. It would be embarrassing to call it a fastball. It's not doing any sliding, so.
Slater lifts it high to center field. And Kiersey will squeeze for the final out. We go to the 9th inning. It has been all White Sox today. Vaughn, a 3-run shot. Get out! Benintendi, 100th career home run. 3rd home run of the game for the Sox.
He's got a no-hitter through 6. He's been brilliant today.
What a performance in his White Sox debut. We've seen the bats, we've seen the pitching, and another pitcher on the mound for the Sox.
Brandon Isert coming on, pick up an inning. Mike Vassell threw 2 and looked pretty good doing it. Gave up a couple of hits, could have been no hits, but what a nice job he did.
Isert, another new face here for the White Sox, giving a lefty arm in the bullpen. Spent much of the season last year in the Toronto organization, and he made his big league debut with the Blue Jays last season. White Sox claiming him off waivers in the offseason.
I don't think you can have too many lefties in your pen. It really helps on the mix and match. The action continues tonight here on CHSN as the Bulls travel to Oklahoma City to take on the Thunder. Pre-game coverage starts at 6:30 right here on CHSN and also streaming live on the CHSN app.
Adam Amin and Stacey King, they are 2 of the best in the business.
Outstanding, really entertaining, very dramatic. I mean, they're wonderful broadcasters, and we really, I mean, in the city of Chicago, we are gifted on both sides of town and in every sport by having really good broadcasters. I mean, it's been that way for a long time, and Adam and Stacey are as good as anybody around.
That half-court shot to end the game the other night against the Lakers that they called.
It was great, I know.
And the way they finish each other's sentences with the energy and the dramatics, they make Bulls games really fun. Two outs to go to finish this one, with Isert making his White Sox debut. And Will Venable said he wanted to get all of his guys into the game, not just as hitters, but also pitchers, as Vassell and Isert now into the game for the White Sox. Coming into the day, there were only 4 teams in Major League Baseball still without a win. Brewers, Braves, Tigers, and this Minnesota Twins team. And the Brewers already down big to Kansas City.
Yeah, I don't think they're coming back in that one. I think what's surprising is the Atlanta Braves having some struggles early. Strider is not around. Acuna is not around. And I mean, Ronald Acuna is one of the great players in the game. And he's had some problems lately staying healthy. When he is healthy, he's a devastating player.
Well, you look at what's happening right now to the Twins. They were outscored coming into this game 19-6. Now they're outscored 28-6 to open the first 4 games of the season. Two balls and a strike to count to Willie Castro, with the opposing pitcher now batting. One from Isert. We'll take it. Come back with a slider. And the White Sox 1 out away from closing this thing up. Learn from the pros this summer at a White Sox summer camp presented by Wintrust. Starting at just $165, kids aged 5 through 12 can register for a 4-day baseball camp offered at over 35 locations throughout the Chicagoland area. To learn more, visit whitesox.com/play. Harrison Bader at the plate for the Twins. And this was about a complete effort, as you will see from the White Sox.
Very similar to opening day, where everything went just perfect.
Three pitchers have combined for a 2-hitter, 3 home runs.
It also really helps to put a lot of runs on the board early, which takes a whole lot of pressure off your starting pitcher. Not that Martin Perez needed much today, because he was just brilliant.
I mean, the stuff we saw today, you can understand why the White Sox considered him for potentially having the opening day starting job.
I think one of the reasons he didn't get it was pretty simply that the Angels are a right-hand hitting team. And Sean Burke showed good enough stuff where he was the guy that went opening day, and I don't think anybody associated with the Sox are disappointed in what he accomplished.
2-2, and Iser gets some swinging. What a performance by the Chicago White Sox. A 9-0 win to start this series against the Twins.
It's a 500 ball club. They're 2-2, and it's a night game tomorrow, so you don't necessarily have to get your rest, but more of the same. Let's take a couple more of these.
Martin Perez making his White Sox debut. He gets the win, the starter, and Paddock, the starter for the Twins, will take the loss. For Brooke Burke,